This is the mindful hustle, where manifestation isn't wishful thinking, it's a strategic realignment with a version of you that already has what you want. I'm Donnie, and I help high-level creators shift their identity so success becomes inevitable. Research shows that the average person has 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day, and 9% of them are the same as yesterday. If you want a different outcome, you've got to become a different thinker. At Reality Realization Institute, we bridge neuroscience and spiritual law to help you rewire those patterns for real. You can start with a free strategy session at realityrealization.org/call. Let's get present and welcome today's incredible guest. Today we have Jamie Meyer, a polymath and synthesist who designs ventures that reshape social, institutional, and economic systems to help build a fairer, more sustainable future. Let's dive into the vision and ventures behind this transformative work. So let's start here. Was there a moment in your life or business when something just clicked and everything changed? Perhaps a mindset shift or a realization that really reshaped your path?
Oh my God, that's a huge question. So many things have happened that reshaped my path. Majority of the time, they don't click until I'm well and truly on my way down them and I don't even know where I'm going. So, probably one of my biggest personal shifts is that I got divorced when I was 24,
Mm-hmm.
and that basically set my whole world on fire and made me reimagine, reconstitute what I considered my reality to look like and what I wanted for myself. And then the next biggest shift would have been when I started freelancing myself out, which was kind of by accident. So I was running a company, and at 23, I was finally given all the reins to do as I pleased, which allowed me to reconstruct the internal and external infrastructure of that business. And it was in that process, which I had no experience with, where I randomly came across a set of skills that I didn't realize I had.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like a clicking moment, right? Like, so how do I now use these skills to do something more than just run businesses? And so
Yeah,
that started a whole other journey.
I'm interested. How did that journey progress for you? What changed? What did it lead you into?
So I was just freelancing myself out to random people that my skills could help, small businesses, larger corporations, people that I knew, people that I met. I went overseas probably about 4 months into that actually becoming a company. So I moved from freelancing into making that a business and went to America for the first time and came back and decided that my small little localized demographic of clients really wasn't a big enough picture for me. And so I took the company international and started reaching out to international clients. And so that business was focused on organizational infrastructure, dynamics of teams, sustainability, and environmental impact and social impact. And for a few years of doing that, that kind of progressed into working with communities or larger corporations more on their economic and social impact.
Amazing. I love that. So, as you're going through that journey, as you're making those shifts and stepping into a larger vision for yourself, what was that internal environment for you? The mental thoughts, the maybe new insights or confusions that you were faced with as you're making those transitions?
All of the above existed at one point or another.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's definitely the one thing that I will say about my probably my personal journey and my professional journey that have been so profound is that all of the challenges and the struggles that come with them actually helped me design the kind of person I wanted to be and really informed the small decisions that I make on a daily basis. And in turn, I've come to realize that it's those small decisions that really make the biggest impact. It isn't the greatest achievement that I've come across or the biggest client that I've landed or the most change that I've been able to create in an ecosystem or an infrastructure. far more important about the small conversations I have, the small actions that I make, the interactions that I have with people, and how I show up in that space.
Yeah. So a sense of kind of like the experience of the journey rather than the destination, like all the little moments that make up everything you're creating and experiencing.
Absolutely, because despite the big vision that I had, those small moments in the journey actually show me the next step of what I'm capable of. Because the bigger vision can only be informed by what I believe I'm capable of, or what I try to be capable of, or challenge myself to be capable of. And so the destination continues moving, the outcome continues growing, the goal continues getting bigger and bigger. And whether I reach that before I'm 103, who knows?
Yeah.
But it will be about all the things that I did and realized in the pursuit of it.
Hmm. Definitely. So what are some of those big realizations that right now you hold dear that serve sort of as a North Star for the next steps you take?
I think probably the most profound and the biggest is, particularly as a leader,
Mm.
my example is the most powerful thing. So, how I interact with other people, what I value, my choice of communication, the way that I listen, the way that I understand, those things are the biggest assets that I have in my repertoire of tools.
Hmm. That's amazing. So where would you say you are now in the work that you're doing? What does that look like for you right now?
So right now I've moved predominantly my public portfolio into a more public portfolio. So I
Mhm.
kind of feel like I'm starting from scratch a little bit. Even though I'm not really, it does feel like a whole new beginning and venture. And so, in the trajectory of what that looks like, I'm probably just in the very early stages of bringing that together. And yet, it feels already very concrete and cemented in a new path.
Okay. And at this level, are there any new challenges you face that you've had to get used to overcoming, or what is that experience of the journey like for you at this point?
Thing about challenges that I've learned is that I'm the one that creates them. And so whenever I feel challenged, I have to really assess not so much the situation, but why I feel challenged by the situation, and
Mhm.
understand why it's either a block or a detour or something that I believe that I don't have the capacity to overcome. And it's from working with those building blocks that the challenge actually becomes quite small and really no longer becomes a challenge.
So what, say, tools or techniques do you do that help you do that reframe?
Once upon a time, it used to just be a hell of a lot of panic. Now, probably, I mean, it's probably not so much panic now, but when I feel those same overwhelming type feelings or not understanding where I should start, I really just pick a place, just anything, one thing that I know that I can figure out and start there.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool. So then, in terms of this progression that you're going on, you had mentioned that one of the core values from it was the version of self that you're creating in a sense. What does that look like for you, this next version that will be able to achieve those goals you have, both in the individual moments, but also on the more macro scale of the value you're trying to present to the world?
As far as those tools or beliefs or principles, they're more focused on what I believe that I can do in any one situation and
Hmm.
how I navigate that situation. And so, you know, 12 or 15 years ago, where I would have led with a really strong, masculine, commanding type persona, now I have a far more receptive way of doing business and dealing with teams. And so that involves a lot more listening and understanding and asking questions rather than running off with assumptions or my narrow perspective of things.
Hmm. And how have you seen that impact the work and relationships that you have now, being able to operate from this new perspective?
It definitely brings out a better side of other people, and in the sense that it allows them to bring all of themselves to a situation. Whereas, I'm always really fond of the saying that the price of giving orders is the lack of creativity. And
Mhm.
so when I allow other people to bring their best selves to the table rather than trying to command what I need from them, outcomes are always far more effective and have a greater depth to them and a more proactive reach throughout the ecosystem which they're involved in.
That makes sense. So, as things keep evolving for you and you step into the future visions you have for it, the work you do and for who you are as a person, what do you imagine life to look like for you a few years down the line?
Oh, I have no idea. That's part of the fun bit, right?
Uh,
I'm a big believer in the fact that we can do far more in shorter periods of time than we plan. So probably my 5 year plan probably will look like my 18-month plan to
mm,
2 year plan. And so what happens in the next couple of years is probably well past what I can really see as a fixed entity. I know that I'll be on this trajectory, and I know myself that I'll always set a new goal or a new challenge or something else to explore.
mm.
Where that goes, particularly being that this is so new, I try not to strangle new pathways too much and allow them to kind of lead me in an unexpected direction.
Wonderful then. So then for the direction that you're on right now, what is, I guess you could say, the current vision? What is it that you're trying to create right now in that next stage of becoming a more public entity?
So my biggest intention and what that looks like, I still have no idea. But one of the most recent projects I started working on is training infrastructures for first responders, reassessing the internal infrastructures of the people that serve communities the most. So they have a better way of functioning within those environments and then in turn serving the greater community. That will continue to move forward into other social systems, reimagining into something that actually serves us better and serves us as an evolving and modern society rather than an archaic one.
Hmm. That's beautiful. So I'm curious for this creation that is being manifested for you, how does this impact you creating in this way, supporting communities in this way, in terms of your personal fulfillment or sense of purpose?
I mean, I think they're both the same. It's
Mm,
true. It's the way I go about my work is a really expression of my creativity, even though it doesn't involve a lot of what people would consider normal creative pursuits. It's not painting or artwork or anything of that nature, but it is very creative to me. It becomes a painted picture from a very small portion that I immerse myself in. And I don't know, I used to be a painter. I was never very good. So this feels like a much more expression of my creativity than creating an artwork.
This has been such a powerful conversation. Thank you for sharing so openly. Something I like to do at the end of these episodes is to ask if you had to give one insight to creators and seekers out there who are looking to reach a new level of life while being fulfilled as they do it, what would you tell those out there?
Oh, you will never exceed the opinion that you have of yourself.
Ooh, deep, deep. I love that insight. Thanks for sharing it with the world. And for those of you listening, if this episode stirred something in you, if you feel like you're ready to grow from the inside out and create the kind of business and life that reflects your highest self, remember you can book a free discovery call at realityrealization.org/call. No pressure, just a space to explore how your identity can click into higher alignment. Thanks again to our guest Jamie for sharing such real and thoughtful insight. And to all of you tuning in, remember, you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. So if you want to change your results, start by becoming the version of you who already has them. This is the Mindful Hustle. Until next time, be bold, be intentional, and keep realizing your reality.